here as we thank MLive for being a sponsor of the live morning weather update. We're going to look at more heavy rain, how much more, and a look into the weekend as well. So let's take a look at what is going on in weather. All right, so here we go. And obviously we've had a whole lot of rain in our area. How much rainfall so far? Well, I've seen as much as 3.8 inches of rain reported in the Muskegon area, Montague. I'll show you the rainfall totals here in just a moment, but we're looking at 2 to 4 inches so far on the west side of the state, east side of the state running about 1 to 2 inches, and we'll get into those totals. What you can see on the radar is the next batch of heavy rainfall feeding into the southwest lower and moving northeast, and as it moves northeast, we'll get into heavy rains in the center part of the state as well, down in toward the Lansing area. I'll show that also to you on the radar here in just a moment, or the radar forecast, I should say. Here is a look at some of the rainfall totals across the area with the radar total map. It's not the greatest way to look at total rainfalls. Obviously, the best way to look is at rain gauges, but this gives you a good perspective. Southeast, not much just yet, under a half inch. You get toward the Saginaw area, it goes toward an inch. Hey, I gotta say good morning to some folks. Hey, good morning, Q. How you doing there? Brittany Hamilton. Nice warm weather is coming. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. And we're looking at the rainfall totals right now on the radar. Now, let's go to where it's been heavier on the west side of the state. And there you can see the yellows there. That's the 2.5 inch rains to 3 inch rains from Grand Rapids westward. One report around Grand Rapids area of about 3.3 inches of rainfall. And are you heading north this weekend? Well, your cabin area got a whole lot of rainfall too, and there you can see it. It's a couple of inches also in northern lower Michigan. Now, here's the radar forecast. Let me get you a good perspective on it here. And here's the radar forecast with the model that I like for this situation because it goes out further into the future. How long will this rainfall last? Okay, so here's the next area of rain as we go into the afternoon hours. The next area of rain feeding up through the center part of the state. It's almost going to be like a conveyor belt from Indiana, western Ohio, up into central Michigan, up into the Lansing area, Jackson, Mount Pleasant, Alma, Ithaca, feeding up to northern Michigan, and southwest lower and west lower, where you've been hit so hard, you'll start to get out of the rainfall by the time we go into the afternoon. And then in the southeast and eastern part of the state, you'll get back into the conveyor of rainfall as we go to late afternoon and evening. This is this evening about 10 o'clock or so. Yes, Samantha Lee, row your boat. Lots of rain in Gladwin. Fortunately, we do have a drying period coming for the second half of the week, and as we get into the weekend, I'll look at that here in just a moment. Alrighty, so, and then as we go into tonight, still areas of showers around, but becoming less numerous, and you can kind of get a feel here, if I move it quickly enough, the rotation point in western Michigan is going to drift southward into Indiana, and then as we go into tomorrow, it'll drift southward to Ohio and Kentucky. And although we could still have some spotty showers tomorrow, the area coverage would be minimal, and we would also have lighter amounts of precipitation if it does happen. But it's going to take another day for this to work its way out of the area. All right, here's the model that I like, or maybe you should say I don't like, on total rainfall through today. This is additional, okay? Some spots already at approaching 4 inches. This is additional. And so your heaviest is going to be from, Coldwater, Adrian, northward through Lansing, Jackson, Ann Arbor, up to the center part of the state, Alma, Ithaca, Gratiot, big farming areas, northeast side, and all of those red areas, that could be an additional 2 inches of rainfall. And there is the potential for a 1/3 inch. This model even shows in some of those purples that possibly up to 4 additional inches of rainfall. That would be fairly localized, not widespread, but we're talking another 1 to 2 inches for most of the state. Southwest lower, where you've been hit the hardest so far, you're getting on the last part of yours, the last half inch or so. And remember, there is a flood warning in effect for a large part of, let's call it west central, southwest lower Michigan, for rivers that will start to rise. Right now, it looks like they would go from minor to moderate flood stage, not anything severe. So we'll just keep an eye on that. When's the 70s and 80s? We need heat. Here we go, change up, man. Let's get to it. Well, let's just go right to that because you want to know that. Okay, so high temperatures today. Because of the solid rain in the north, you're going to be cooler. Far south, not too bad, 67 or so. Now tomorrow, even though we got clouds, we got to remember, we're in May, right? It's time to garden. And so even under clouds, we should pop up into the 60s, well into the 60s. Now we're looking at the high temperatures for Wednesday, and we're getting toward 70 degrees, and Wednesday looks like a gorgeous day, and after that looks gorgeous too. Thursday, we start to go into the low to mid 70s, and Friday, we go to the mid 70s, it looks like, in many spots. And Saturday, we start to flirt with 80 degrees in a few spots. We have a lot of mid 70s. Southern half of the state, we have a lot of mid 80s. Great gardening weather there. And Sunday, we start to flirt with 80 degrees in more locations and get a lot of 77s, 78s or so. We'll jump back now and look at Memorial Day weekend too. I want to remind you too that here's the 6 to 10 day forecast, and it calls for warmer than normal conditions. We like that. And then here is the 8 to 14 day forecast, and it calls for still the chance, slight chance that things could be warmer than normal. And that takes us quite a ways. That takes us into May 31st. So we won't argue with that now, will we? All right, so let's take a look at the model run out into the weekend. And by the way, I think I might have had something a little goofed up on my audio and whatnot when I first got going here this morning. So I want to tell you this again. The MLive Morning Weather Update is brought to you by Abley Greenhouse and Garden Center just off I-75 at M46 in Saginaw. Stop and shop the beautiful plants on your way up north for the weekend. I've been gardening from there for 20 years now, and you won't regret it if you stop. All right, so here's our storm system. Okay, and we're into tonight. We're into tomorrow. One thing that has slowed this storm system down, a tropical storm Arthur on the East Coast. And remember, that kind of makes a logjam for our storm systems and usually slows them down. So we're into Tuesday, and things are beginning to dry out. Now we're into Wednesday and Thursday, and you don't see many isobars. That means not much wind. You don't see the blue lines. That means the cold stuff that we've had. And in all, you're just looking at beautiful weather. Now, I will say one thing about a Memorial Day weekend. Okay, let's just face it. It's 4 days long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. At this time of the year, to get all 4 days dry is really, really tough to do. So we're going to have a 6-hour period of rainfall somewhere in there. Let's try to find out where it is. I don't think it's Friday. I don't think it's Saturday, except for maybe in the western UP. Now here is Sunday, and again, clumps of showers around, but this model, the European, not really showing anything widespread and significant. And as we go toward Memorial Day, we could start to get into a little more shower and thunderstorm activity. That's very typical at some point one of those 3 days in that weekend. The main point, though, is it's not a cold weekend. It's almost summery type weekend. It's not a flat out summery weekend, but it's almost a summery weekend. So there you have it. By the way, tomorrow, if the weather is nice enough, keep our fingers crossed, I'm going to be at Abley Greenhouse and Garden Center, so you can check it out and be out there live, and they'll show us what's new for this season. The recap today, we have rain. We do have a flood warning in effect mostly for lowland flooding, low road, poor drainage areas flooding, and some rivers starting to come out of their banks and flooding those houses that are close to the river that typically have flooding issues. And then we'll be drying out tomorrow, and we'll go through the week dry with things improving dramatically. So get ready. It looks like the threat of frost is over, and it is time to have fun outside in your garden, in your yard, or whatever. Thanks for joining me. This is the MLive Morning Weather Update, brought to you by Abley Greenhouse.